It celebrates his 25th birthday. It's Silver Jubilee anniversary on the bourses today. 25 years back today is when Infosys listed on the exchanges. So I'm going to take it across to Pranay, my colleague from the research desk, who's been tracking Infosys, not for last 25 years, but yes, he's been tracking the story at Infi nonetheless. Pranay, walk us through what the journey has been for Infosys from the startup days up until now, and the wobbly last 5 years that the company has also faced.
Well, yes, it's a milestone day for the company as it celebrates 25 years on D Street, but it's been around for 37 years, and in this period it's arguably regarded as the Indian company that actually changed the way how India Inc. did business, especially in its initial years after it got listed. Its beginning was very humble, as is the case with most Indian upstarts. Back in 1981, when it started out of a room of Narayan Murthy's apartment. Who knew that he would be such a visionary leader with 6 of his friends, had a starting capital of $250, had to actually borrow 10,000 rupees from his wife Sudha Murthy at that time to fund its initial operations back when it was still finding its feet. So for many years it was still doing that, but on this day in 1993 when it listed, it had a revenue of about $5 million and its 16.5 crore IPO actually was undersubscribed. So Enam, the investment banker, had to bail out the company, and even Morgan Stanley chipped in by picking up 13% stake. But then it was a great beginning, though it seemed like a tepid start at that time. It listed with a 60% premium at about 145 rupees compared to issue price of 95, and went on to close the day at close to about 160. And look where it is today. So from $5 million revenue at the time of listing, it closed last year with $10.9 billion in revenue. That time it had fewer than 250 employees in 1993. Now it has a strong workforce of over 2 lakh across the world. And its market cap right now is close to about 2.78 lakh crore, which is making it the 7th most valuable Indian company, the 2nd most valuable IT company after the juggernaut TCS. So to understand this wealth creation, had you invested or had you been around at that time to invest 1,000 rupees at the time of the IPO at an issue price of 95, that would have been worth 25.5 lakh rupees, even if you adjust for all the stock bonus and the stock splits and the dividends that the company is given out, which means it's given an ROE of 0.29x for each of these 25 years on a compounded basis. So that's clearly outperforming its peer Wipro, which also existed at that time, but also other large peers in the benchmark index such as RIL. So what made Infosys the darling of many investors? Well, it has many firsts to its credit, and it's a little long list. It was the first company that started with a consistent growth policy. From 1995, it went on to meet investors and analysts, guiding for yearly, growth outlook, while also forecasting the plans that they had for the quarter. No Indian company did that back then. And it was founded on a value system and principles, as it's widely regarded for, where Narayan Murthy infused it in the DNA of the company to treat shareholders as owners and management as trustees of the wealth that was to be created. There was incredible focus on transparency and disclosures. In fact, its corporate governance policy was fleshed out such that it inspired many large corporates, the largest in the country at that time, to adopt such practices. It was the first company to report its accounts in US GAAP. Actually, it was the first to report it in 7 different languages, and that is what attracted foreign investors to it also. So such was the kind of things. Even in financial terms, they gave out ROC would be double that of the cost of capital. So that was the kind of financial policy that it gave. Simple rules for business, and those rules were all followed by the great visionary leader Narayan Murthy and his team at that time. But this wealth creation was also democratized, as 13.6% of the stake in the company was actually held by employees at the time of listing. So many staff members, including those who were drivers and peons, went on to become millionaires. It's actually been a classic middle class dream where so many of them managed to buy their first house after selling the shares of Infosys, or managed to get their children also married with the proceeds from selling those shares. So it's had 7 CEOs except for an interim one this time. Yes, as you said, last couple of years have been turbulent, where part of this image did get dented, but right now they've given the vision statement where this year is going to be the year of stabilization, next year is going to be the year of momentum, and FY21 is going to be the year of acceleration, where analysts see that it could perhaps be leading industry growth. Whether that happens or not, that's something to wait and watch.
Pankaj, thanks very much for tracking the journey for us and for our viewers. It's really sorry, Pranay, yeah, I think I got too carried away by the story that you were presenting, but thanks very much.